The blood on the porch wasn't his. Cole Brennan stood at the edge of his property, staring at the dark smear trailing from the gate to his front steps. It glistened in the early morning light, still wet enough to tell him whoever left it hadn't gone far. His hand drifted to the revolver at his hip, fingers brushing the worn grip. He didn't draw, not yet. The ranch was quiet. Too quiet, no birds, no wind through the cottonwoods, just the low hum of dread that settles over a place when something wrong has happened and hasn't finished happening yet. He followed the blood. It led around the side of the house, past the water trough, toward the barn. The door hung half open, swaying slightly on rusted hinges. Cole slowed his Bufar, boots silent on the dirt. He'd lived alone for 3 years now, ever since Martha died, and in that time he'd learned to trust the silence. It told him things. Right now it told him he wasn't alone anymore. He nudged the barn door open with his boot. Inside, crumpled against a pile of hay bales, was a girl. She couldn't have been more than 16. Her dress was torn at the shoulder, dirt streaked and soaked through with sweat and blood. Her face was turned away, dark hair matting against her neck. One arm clutched her ribs, the other held a knife, small, dull, but gripped like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Cole froze.
"Easy," he said, voice low. "I'm not gonna hurt you." She didn't move, didn't look at him, but her knuckles went white around the knife handle. He took a step back, hands visible, palms open. "You're bleeding. Let me help." "Stay back!" Her voice was a rasp, barely audible, but there was steel in it. Cole nodded slowly. "All right, I'll stay right here." He crouched down, keeping distance between them. "You got a name?" Silence. "Mine's Cole. This is my land."
"You're safe here." Her head turned just enough for him to see her face. One eye was swollen shut, purple and angry. Blood crusted beneath her nose, but it was her good eye that caught him, a pale, burning grey that held more fury than fear. "No one's safe," she whispered. Cole felt something tighten in his chest. He'd seen that look before, in the eyes of men who'd been broken, in the eyes of his wife, the night she'd told him she was dying, and there was nothing he could do. "Who did this to you?" She shook her head. "Was it one man? More?" Her jaw clenched. She looked away. Cole exhaled slowly, weighing his options. He could call the sheriff, but that meant questions, townspeople, trouble. Or he could let her go, pretend he never saw her. That would be easier, safer. But he didn't move. "I got water inside. Bandages, you don't have to tell me nothing. But you can't stay out here bleeding like that." For a long moment, she didn't respond. Then, slowly, she let the knife lower, just an inch. Not trust, but exhaustion. "One condition," she said. "What's that?" "You don't ask me to leave." Cole studied her, the desperation in her voice, the way her hand still trembled around that knife. Whatever she was running from, it wasn't over. "All right," he said quietly. "You can stay." She nodded once, and her shoulders sagged like a puppet with cut strings. Cole stood, moved carefully toward her, and offered his hand. She stared at it for a long time before taking it. Her fingers were cold. When he helped her to her feet, she stumbled, and he caught her before she fell. "Easy," he murmured. I got you. They walked toward the house in silence, her weight leaning against him, blood dripping a slow rhythm onto the dirt. Cole kept his eyes on the horizon, scanning the tree line, the road beyond. Whoever had done this to her, they might still be looking. Inside, he sat her down at the kitchen table and fetched a basin of water, clean cloth, whiskey. She didn't flinch when he cleaned the cuts on her face, didn't make a sound when he pressed the cloth to the gash along her ribs. Just stared at the table, jaw tight, breathing shallow. "You're lucky," Cole said after a while. "Nothing vital. Ribs might be cracked, but you'll heal." She didn't answer. He wrapped her ribs with strips of linen, then poured her a glass of water. She drank it in one long pull, then set the glass down gently like she was afraid it might shatter. "Thank you," she said finally. Cole nodded. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Eliza." "Eliza." He let the name settle. "You got family? Someone I can send word to?" Her expression darkened. "No." "Then who's coming after you?" Her gaze snapped to his, sharp and guarded. "What makes you think someone is?" "Because you're scared."
"And you ain't scared of me." She looked away, fingers curling into fists on the table. "His name's Garrett Finch. He owns the saloon in town, and half the men who work for him." Cole's blood went cold. He knew the name. Everyone did. Garrett Finch was a snake in a waistcoat. Charming, ruthless, and untouchable. He ran girls, ran liquor, ran debts. And if you crossed him, you disappeared. "What'd you do to him?" "I said no." The words hung in the air like smoke. Cole felt his jaw tighten.
And he didn't like that. "He doesn't take no?" Her voice was flat now, hollow. "So I ran." "And he sent men after you?" She nodded. Cole stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the empty road. Dust swirled in the distance. Nothing yet, but it was coming. "How many?" "3, maybe more by now." He turned back to her. "They know you're here?" "I don't know. I tried to cover my tracks, but Garrett, he's got eyes everywhere." Cole was quiet for a long moment. Then he crossed to the mantel, pulled down his rifle, and checked the chamber. Loaded. Eliza watched him, eyes wide. "You don't have to do this." "Yeah," Cole said quietly. "I do. Why?" He didn't answer right away. He thought of Martha, of the nights she'd cried, and he'd held her, helpless, of the promise he'd made to himself after she died, that he'd never stand by and do nothing again. "Because it's the right thing," he said finally. Eliza's throat worked. She looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Instead, she whispered, "They'll kill you." Cole met her eyes. "Then they'll have to." Outside, the wind picked up, and in the distance, faint but growing louder, came the sound of hoofbeats. Cole moved fast. "Get upstairs," he said, voice clipped. "Back room. Window faces the creek. If things go bad, you run." Eliza stood, wobbling slightly. "I can help." "No." He handed her a small revolver from the drawer. "You can shoot if you have to, but you don't come down unless I call for you. Understood?" She hesitated, then took the gun. Her hands shook. "Cole, go." She went. Cole watched her disappear up the narrow staircase, then turned back to the window. 3 riders crested the hill, moving slow and deliberate. They weren't rushing. They didn't need to. They knew she was cornered. He recognized the one in front, tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar running from his temple to his jaw. Name was Dex. He worked for Finch, enforcing debts and breaking fingers. The other two were younger, hungrier, the kind of men who'd do anything for a payday. Cole stepped out onto the porch, rifle in hand, but lowered, non-threatening for now. The riders stopped at the gate. Dex tilted his head, studying Cole with the lazy confidence of a man who'd never lost a fight. "Morning," Dex called out. "Morning," Cole replied evenly. "We're looking for a girl, runaway, dark hair, about 16. Seen anyone like that?" Cole's expression didn't change. "Can't say I have." Dex smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "That's so. Funny, we tracked her trail right to your property." "Trails could be misleading." "Not this one." Dex dismounted, boots hitting the dirt with a heavy thud. The other two followed. "Mind if we take a look around?" "I do, actually." Dex's smile faded. "Listen, friend, we don't want trouble. But Mr. Finch wants his property back. And what Mr. Finch wants, he gets." "She's not property," Cole said quietly. The air shifted. Dex's hand drifted toward his holster. "You got a problem with how Mr. Finch runs his business?" "I got a problem with men who beat women." Dex's eyes narrowed. "So she is here." Cole didn't answer. He didn't need to. One of the younger men, a wiry kid with a patchy beard, stepped forward. "Just hand her over, old man. No one's got to get hurt." Cole's gaze flicked to him, then back to Dex. "Turn around. Ride back to town. Tell Finch she's gone." Dex laughed, a low, ugly sound. "You think you can protect her? You're one man. Finch has a dozen. He'll burn this place to the ground." "Maybe," Cole said. "But you won't live to see it." The kid reached for his gun. Cole's rifle came up in a blur, barrel leveled at Dex's chest. "Tell your boy to sit still." Dex raised a hand. The kid froze. For a long moment no one moved. The only sound was the wind rattling the fence posts.
"You're making a mistake," Dex said quietly. "Wouldn't be my first." Dex studied him, weighing options. Then slowly, he nodded. "All right, we'll go. But this ain't over." "I know." Dex remounted, jerking his reins. The other two followed. They turned their horses and rode back toward the hill, slow and deliberate. Cole didn't lower the rifle until they disappeared from sight. Then he let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Upstairs, he heard the creak of floorboards.
Eliza appeared at the top of the stairs, pale and shaking. "They'll be back," she said. "I know." "You should have just given me to them." Cole set the rifle down, turned to face her. "Is that what you wanted?" Her jaw trembled. "I don't want you to die because of me." "Then don't waste it," Cole said simply. "If I'm going to risk my life, make it mean something. Stay alive. Fight back. Don't let men like Finch win." Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. "Why are you doing this?" Cole looked at her for a long moment. "Because someone should have done it for my wife, and no one did." Eliza's breath hitched. She didn't ask, didn't need to. Cole turned back to the window. "We got maybe an hour before they come back with more men. You still know how to shoot?" She nodded. "Good. Because when they come, it won't be for talking." Outside, the wind picked up again, and somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled. The storm hit just before dusk. Rain came down in sheets, turning the dirt road into a river of mud. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the horizon in jagged bursts. Cole stood at the window, watching, waiting. Eliza sat at the table, the revolver in her lap. She hadn't said a word in over an hour, just stared at the gun like it was a rattlesnake. "You ever killed anyone?" she asked suddenly. Cole didn't turn. "Once." "What happened?" "He died." She let out a hollow laugh.
"That's not what I meant." "I know." Silence settled between them, heavy and uncomfortable. Then Cole spoke again, quieter this time. "It was during the war. Confederate soldier, maybe 17. He came at me with a bayonet. I shot him." He paused. "Took me a long time to stop seeing his face." Eliza's grip tightened on the revolver. "Does it get easier?" "No." She looked down. "I don't know if I can do it." "You will," Cole said. "If it comes to it, you will."
Because the alternative's worse. Before she could respond, the sound of hoofbeats cut through the rain. Cole's hand went to his rifle. "Upstairs. Now!" "Cole, now." She ran. Cole moved to the door, cracked it open just enough to see. Through the rain, he counted them. 6 riders this time. Dex at the front, flanked by the same 2 from earlier. Behind them, 3 more, older, meaner. One carried a torch despite the rain, the flames sputtering but holding. They stopped at the gate. Dex dismounted, rain dripping from the brim of his hat. "Last chance, Brennan. Send her out and we leave peaceful." Cole stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. "And if I don't?" Dex gestured to the man with the torch. "Then we burn you out." "In this rain," Cole called back. "Good luck." Dex's jaw tightened. "You think this is a joke?" "I think you're wasting your time." One of the older men spat into the mud. "Let's just shoot him and take the girl." Dex raised a hand. "Mister."
"Finch wants her alive, and he wants to make an example of anyone who helps her." He looked at Cole. "Step aside, old man. This is your last warning." Cole's voice dropped, calm and cold as winter stone. "Touch her again, and you're dead." The words hung in the rain. Dex's expression shifted, something dangerous flickering behind his eyes. "What did you just say?" Cole didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. Dex's hand went to his gun. Cole fired.
The shot cracked through the storm, and Dex stumbled back, clutching his shoulder. Blood bloomed through his fingers. The other men scattered, diving for cover behind the fence, the water trough, the gate. Gunfire erupted. Cole ducked inside, bullets splintering the door frame. He slammed the door shut, braced it with the kitchen table, then moved to the window. Eliza appeared at the top of the stairs, eyes wide. "Stay down!" he shouted. Another volley of shots shattered the window. Glass rained down. Cole fired back, dropping one of the younger men. He went down hard, clutching his leg and screaming. "2 left outside!" Cole yelled. "1 wounded!" Eliza crept down the stairs, revolver raised. "What do we do?" "We hold." A flaming bottle arced through the broken window, smashing against the floor. Fire spread fast, licking up the wall. "Damn it!" Cole grabbed a blanket, started beating at the flames. Eliza ran to the kitchen, filled a pot with water, threw it onto the fire. It sputtered, hissed, but didn't go out. "We can't stay here," she shouted. Cole looked around. The fire was spreading. Smoke filled the room. Outside, he could hear them regrouping. "Back door," he said. "We make for the barn. There's a root cellar underneath. We can wait them out. And if they find us? Cole met her eyes. Then we fight. They ran out the back door into the rain. Mud sucked at their boots. Gunfire followed them, bullets kicking up dirt. Cole fired blind over his shoulder, heard someone curse. They reached the barn, threw open the door, and Cole shoved Eliza inside. "Cellar's in the back corner, trapdoor under the hay." She ran. Cole turned, rifle raised, and waited. 2 men burst through the rain, guns drawn. Cole fired twice. Both went down, but then came the third, the one with the torch. He was older, slower, but his eyes were cold and steady. He raised his revolver. Cole pulled the trigger. Click. Empty. The man smiled.
"End of the line, Brennan." A gunshot split the air. The man jerked, eyes going wide. He looked down at the blood spreading across his chest, then collapsed face first into the mud. Cole turned. Eliza stood in the barn doorway, revolver smoking in her trembling hands. Her face was pale, eyes wide with shock. I didn't mean, I just... Cole crossed to her, gently took the gun from her hands. "You did good. I killed him. You saved my life." She stared at the body, shaking. "I killed him." Cole gripped her shoulders, forced her to look at him. "Listen to me. You did what you had to do, and because of that, we're still breathing. You understand?" Her eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. In the distance, they heard shouts. More riders coming. "Come on," Cole said. "We're not done yet." They disappeared into the barn, into the darkness, as the rain continued to fall and the storm raged on.
The root cellar was cold and damp, walls lined with jars of preserves and sacks of grain. A single lantern cast weak, flickering light across their faces. Above, they could hear boots pacing, voices calling out, searching. Eliza sat with her knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped tight around herself. She hadn't spoken since they'd climbed down. Just stared at the dirt floor, eyes glassy. Cole kept watch near the ladder, rifle across his lap, listening. "They'll give up soon," he said quietly. "Rain's getting worse. They won't want to stay out all night." No response. He glanced at her. "You all right?" She let out a bitter laugh. "No." Cole set the rifle down, moved to sit across from her. For a while, neither spoke. Just the sound of rain drumming overhead and muffled voices fading into the distance. "First time's the hardest," Cole said finally. Eliza looked up, eyes red. "Does it ever stop, the feeling?" "No, but you learn to carry it." "I don't want to carry it." Her voice cracked.
"I don't want to be the kind of person who kills." "You're not," Cole said. "You're the kind of person who survives." She shook her head. "There's a difference. Sometimes, not always." Eliza wiped at her eyes, sniffing. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to leave. Start over somewhere quiet." "Where were you headed?" "I don't know. Anywhere but here." She laughed again, hollow. "Stupid, right? No plan, no money, just running." "Not stupid," Cole said. "Brave." She looked at him, surprised. "You stood up to a man who could have killed you," Cole continued. "You ran when you had every reason to give up. And tonight, you saved my life." "That ain't stupid, that's courage." Eliza's throat worked. "I'm scared." "I know." "What if they don't stop? What if Finch keeps coming?" Cole leaned back against the cellar wall, exhaled slowly. "Then we deal with it, one day at a time." "Why?" she asked, voice breaking. Why do you even care? You don't know me. Cole was quiet for a long moment.
Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small worn photograph. He handed it to her. Eliza took it carefully. The image was faded, a woman with kind eyes and a soft smile, standing beside a younger, less weathered version of Cole. Her name was Martha, Cole said. We were married 8 years. She got sick, consumption. Doctors said there was nothing they could do. I sold everything I had trying to prove 'em wrong. He paused. Didn't matter. She died anyway. Eliza stared at the photograph, then at him. I'm sorry. Cole nodded. The night before she passed, she made me promise something. She said, don't let the world make you cold. She said there was still good worth fighting for, even when it felt like there wasn't. He met Eliza's eyes. I didn't believe her. Not for a long time. But then you showed up, and I realized maybe she was right. Eliza's lips trembled. You're risking everything for me? No, Cole said gently. I'm risking everything because it's right. There's a difference. A tear slipped down her cheek. What if I'm not worth it? You are. She shook her head. You don't know that. Yeah, Cole said quietly. I do. For a long moment, they sat in silence. Then Eliza handed the photograph back. Thank you, she whispered. Cole tucked it away. Get some rest. We'll wait till morning. Make sure they're gone. Eliza nodded, leaning her head back against the wall. Her eyes drifted shut, exhaustion finally overtaking fear. Cole stayed awake, rifle in hand, watching over her. Above, the rain began to soften, the voices faded, and slowly the storm passed. Dawn came quiet and still. Cole climbed the ladder first, pushing open the trapdoor with caution. The barn was empty. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the wood, casting long shadows across the floor. Outside, the world was washed clean. Mud, blood, broken glass scattered across the yard like remnants of a bad dream. He helped Eliza up, and together they walked back to the house. The front room was scorched and ruined, the smell of smoke still heavy in the air. But it was standing. Cole's rifle leaned against the wall where he'd left it. The kitchen table was overturned, chairs broken, but the bones of the place held. Eliza stood in the doorway, taking it all in.
They're gone? For now, Cole said. She turned to him. You think Finch will come himself? Maybe. Or maybe he'll cut his losses. Men like him don't like fighting battles they can't win clean. Eliza wrapped her arms around herself. What do I do now? Cole looked at her. This girl who'd stumbled into his life bloody and broken, who'd fought when she had every reason to give up. You stay, if you want. She blinked. What? Ranch could use the help, and you need a place to land. He gestured to the ruined house. Gonna take work to fix this up, but it's yours if you want it. Eliza stared at him, eyes wide. You'd let me stay? After all this? After all this, Cole said, I'd say you earned it. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't from pain. I don't know how to ranch. I'll teach you. I'll mess it up. Probably, Cole said, with the faintest hint of a smile.
But you'll learn. Eliza let out a shaky breath, then nodded. Okay, yeah, okay. Cole extended his hand. She took it. 2 days later, a rider came from town, Not one of Finch's men, but the sheriff. He was an older man, greying and tired, with eyes that had seen too much and believed too little. "Got word there was trouble out here," he said, sitting his horse just outside the gate. Cole stood on the porch, arms crossed. "Trouble's handled." The sheriff looked past him, toward the burned porch, the bullet holes in the door. "That's so?" "It is." The sheriff's gaze shifted to Eliza, who stood behind Cole, silent but steady. "You the girl Finch was looking for?" She lifted her chin. "I am." "He's filed a complaint. Says you stole from him." "I didn't." "He says you did." Cole stepped forward. "And I say she didn't. You going to take his word over mine?" The sheriff studied him. "Finch has pull, Brennan."
"I can't just ignore him." "Then don't," Cole said evenly. "Arrest her. Take her to trial. Let a jury decide." The sheriff hesitated. "You know how that'll go. Finch owns half the town." "Maybe," Cole said, "but he doesn't own me or her. And if you try to take her, you'll have to go through me." The sheriff let out a long breath, then shook his head. "I'm too old for this." He turned his horse. "I'll tell Finch I couldn't find her, but you better watch your back, Brennan. He won't let this slide." "I know," Cole said. The sheriff rode off, and Eliza let out a breath she'd been holding. "You think he meant it? About not telling Finch?" "Maybe," Cole said. "Maybe not, but it don't matter. We'll be ready either way." Weeks passed, then months. Finch never came. Rumor had it he'd moved his operation south, chasing easier money. Whether that was true or just talk, Cole didn't know. And he didn't care. The ranch healed slowly. They rebuilt the porch, patched the bullet holes, scrubbed the smoke stains from the walls. Eliza learned to ride, to mend fences, to shoot straight. She was quiet most days, but every now and then Cole would catch her smiling. Small, fragile things, like the first flowers after winter. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of golden red, they sat on the porch together. The air was cool, the world peaceful. "You ever think about leaving?" Cole asked. Eliza looked at him, surprised. "Why? You want me gone?" "No," Cole said. "Just wondering if you ever think about it." She was quiet for a moment, then shook her head. "No, not anymore." "Why not?" She smiled, soft, genuine. "Because this is the first place I've ever felt safe." Cole nodded, and something in his chest loosened. They sat in silence, watching the sun sink below the horizon. Years later, when Eliza was grown and the scars had faded to silver lines, she would stand on that same porch and remember the night everything changed. She'd remember the rain, the gunfire, the blood. But most of all, she'd remember the man who'd looked at her, broken, terrified and alone, and said, "You're worth fighting for." And she'd believe it, because Cole Brennan had taught her something no one else ever had. That sometimes one calm warning, spoken without anger, without hesitation, could change everything. That mercy and strength weren't opposites. That standing your ground didn't always mean drawing your gun. And that the quietest promises were often the ones that mattered most. The ranch still stood, the land still breathed, and Eliza, no longer running, no longer afraid, finally called it home. The porch at dusk, 2 rocking chairs, one empty, the other occupied by a woman with silver-streaked hair, a rifle across her lap, watching the horizon.
The wind carries the scent of sage and rain. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolls, but she doesn't move. She just sits and waits, ready.